Hello everyone, welcome back to our Solidworks course. In this video, we would be learning about a very interesting sketch entity. You would have guessed it from the name of the title, that is, splines. Yes, we would be learning about splines in this video. But first, let's take a look at what are splines and also understand some terminologies behind it. Now, if we come to the question that what are splines? Splines are nothing but free-form entities or free-form sketch entities that are generated between points, or rather that are interpolated between points. You can see over here that this is a spline that I have created. Now, you might have the question that we can create curved sketches or curved sketch entities by using arcs and lines, but you are wrong over here. Such curvatures cannot be replicated by using arcs and curves. In SolidWorks, we create splines by specifying certain points, and SolidWorks in the background uses some equations in order to create a smooth curve between them. You can see here on your screens that I have created a simple spline. With the help of this, I will explain you some spline terminologies. These points over here that I am highlighting on the screens are known as the endpoints of the spline. The name is self-explanatory itself. The next terminology related to splines are the control points, and these control points are specified between our endpoints. Our first control point for the spline would be somewhere here, and the second control point for a spline would be somewhere here. Again, the name is quite self-explanatory. It controls the curvature of the spline. Next, we have handles. Now what are handles? I will show you here. Handles are nothing but lines passing from this point that help us to control the curvature or the angle of our splines. This will be explained to you in detail when we move to SolidWorks. But for now, you need to understand what is a handle. This is how a handle would be represented in SolidWorks. Once you've understood what is handle, I will show you what is a polygon, or rather, what is a control polygon. A control polygon is nothing but a polygon that is used to control the spline. You can see as I'm drawing on the screen over here, this is how a control polygon would be generated when you create a spline. Now on the control polygon, we will have some more points at the intersections, like over here. What you can do is that you can again manipulate these points in order to control the curvature of your spline. You can move them in any direction you want. Also, you can tilt them or move them at an angle. The same can be done with the help of handles. All of these are control parameters in order to control the curvature of your spline. It is very important that you form or that you generate the curvature that you require for certain applications like automobile applications, aircraft applications, and many more, where a perfect curve according to the equation is important. In those applications, splines are very important. Now, we will move to SolidWorks and take a look at how do we use all these terminologies that I have explained to you while sketching. Once I have created a new part in SolidWorks, I will go to the front plane and start sketching on it. For this, I will select the spline sketch entity from our sketch entities. Now here, I will specify the first point that is one of the endpoints of our spline. I will click on the screen and drag my cursor over here. You can see that till now the line is a straight line, but now when I click on the screen over here and then move my cursor away from it, you can see that a curve has been interpolated between these 2 points. Again, I will select another point over here and then I will specify my last or the second endpoint over here. If I press escape, you can see that this is how my spline has been generated. It is similar to the one that we saw in our previous slide. Now with the help of this, I will explain you what were the terminologies we used before. This point and this point that have been highlighted over here are our endpoints. And this point over here and this point over here are the control points that are between both the endpoints. Now again, if I click on this point over here, you can see that this line has been shown. This is nothing but our handle. We can use this handle in order to control the curvature of the spline. I will show you how. We have two control points over here. If I zoom in, you can see that this is first control point and this is the second control point. Now I will show you how to use it. If I move this control point over here, you can see that it is showing the angle by which I am manipulating my spline. You can move it in either direction and then control the curvature of your spline. This line is tangent to the curve at your control point. Next, you can use this in order to move your curve. You can see here I am moving my spline in this direction and this is how it is being formed. If I press Alt and then move this point, you can see that it is moving symmetrically about the center point. If I leave Alt, it will be moving only in one direction. Same will be for here. If I don't press Alt and pull it, you can see that it is moving in one direction only. But if I press Alt again, you can see that it is moving by similar lengths in the opposite direction as well. Now that you've seen how to use handles, I will show you how to hide or unhide these handles. For that, you have to go to options over here. Once your option tabs is open, you go to sketch. You click on sketch. You can see here that enable spline tangency and curvature handles. If this is turned off, your handles won't be seen. If I press on OK, you can see that now my handles will not be seen even if I click on my control points. For that, I will again go to options and from here I'll go to sketch and select enable spline tangency and curvature handles. I will click on OK and you can see here that my handles are back. If I select this control point, I can see the handle for this one. You have handles even for your endpoints over here shown like these. The function is similar as these ones, that is used to modify your splines. Next, we will be taking a look at how to show your control polygon. That is our final terminology that we learned. For that, I will right click on my spline and from here I will select display control polygon. Once I have selected that option, you can see that my control polygon is being shown. As I explained before, control polygon also has some points. You can see here that these are the points for my control polygon, and as I move them, my spline is again being changed. I can use all these parameters that I have shown in order to structure your spline. Now let's say you have created this spline over here and now you realize that I need more control points or I want to delete some control points. What you will do, let's see now. For example, I want a control point over here. I will simply right click on the curve and select insert spline point. Once I select this, you can see that it is giving me an option to place a spline point anywhere on the spline. Let's say I want a point over here. I will click it and it has added another control point. According to this point, we can see here that a control polygon has changed as well. And we have another handle over here that we can use to control the curvature of a spline. This is how you add a point, but let's say if you want to delete it, first I will press escape and exit this. Again, next I will select this point and then simply press delete. You can see that I have deleted my point or my control point on the polygon. Now that you've understood how all these control points or control parameters work for a spline, let's take a small example, and with the help of this example, let's see how we can use spline in order to specify or in order to define our curves. I have again created a new part over here, and in this exercise I will show you how I will use a reference picture and create a splines according to the curvature shown in the reference picture. I will again create a new part in Solidworks, and in this exercise I will show you how to create splines with the help of a reference picture. For that, first we will have to import a reference picture. I will start sketching on the front plane. Now we are into the sketch mode. I will go to tools and then I will go to sketch tools, and from over here I select sketch picture. I will select this reference image and once the reference image is loaded, you will see that it has already been aligned as it has already been aligned with the origin. You can see here that the coordinates of this picture have been aligned or have been positioned at the origin. That is, the x0 and y0 for this image is at the origin itself. Now from here we will make sure that our lock aspect ratio is ticked, and we will modify this image. As this is a very big image, we will set its height to 200 millimeters. I will enter 200 and then click on OK. You can see that my image has been shrunk. From here you can see that as we had locked our aspect ratio, the width changed automatically. Now we want this origin to be at the center of this image. For that we can specify the origin points, origin x point and origin y point. In the width, or rather in the x direction of our picture, we want this somewhere over here. How do we calculate it? We simply divide this total width by 2. From here I will enter 181.25 divided by 2. It has automatically calculated, and you can see that the picture has been moved, but I made a small mistake over here. I should have moved it in the negative direction. I will simply add negative here and then press enter. You can see that now it is at the center. Now in order to move it upwards, that is in y direction at the center, here I will have to specify negative 100. Now that the picture has been moved downwards and the origin is right at the center, what we will do, we will click on OK over here and then now create a center line here. For that I will go to the drop down of line and select center line. I will use the inference line in order to align it vertically with the origin and draw a center line like this. Now I will simply zoom in, and you can see here that it is not clearly aligned at the center. How do we manipulate this is that we simply double click on this picture and we are back here in our parameters, or the parameters used to align the image. From here we will tweak slightly. Let's say I will add negative 0.05 over here, and you can see that it moved a bit. Again, let's say I add negative 0.1. You can see it moved a bit. Now you have to play over here and then align your center line approximately at the center of the image. Again, I will say negative 0.3. You can see that now it is approximately at the center and we can continue with our image. It is always a good practice to align your center line at the reference image so that your sketches are accurate. I will zoom out here and you can see that now my center line is at the center perfectly, or if we can say approximately. For this, now I have done this, I will click on OK, and first I will exit the sketch. Technically you can also create your splines on this sketch itself, but it is always a good practice to exit this sketch and then start a new sketch and then start sketching your spline on that. For this, I will again click on the front plane and then start sketching on it. I will zoom in a bit and now I will start sketching my splines. If you want a smooth curve, it is a good practice that you specify or you add minimum number of points in order to create your spline. With the help of this example, I will show you how. Let's say I take a spline and the first point would be coincident. I will zoom in a bit so that I have a good view of my curvature over here. I will click over here. Here I would be only creating one control point and two endpoints, that is 3 points in total. Now I will right click on this and then show my control polygon. Here it is a game of tweaking. You have to simply tweak your lines or the control parameters in order to get your curve. Here you can see that as I am tweaking my control parameters, my spline is being manipulated, and you can see that I am trying here to align it with the curvature shown in the image. You can use all the control parameters that you have and then move your spline accordingly to adjust it to your curvature. You can see that now it is almost at this almost equal to the curve that we have added. You can see that I am using all the control parameters to tweak it fine, to tweak it in a very fine way so that I can achieve this curvature. It always takes some time in order to get difficult curves, but here you can see after some time I have aligned it along my curvature over here. If I zoom out, you can see that this has taken the spine, this has taken the shape of this curvature. Next, we will use a spline in order to create another curvature. Now here I will give you a tip that when you're creating complex curves like this, you have to divide them into small bits. Like over here I first selected only this curvature, and now for the second spline I will select this curvature. Again I would be creating 3 points like this. I will press escape and generate my spline. Again I will right click on it and say display control polygon. From here I will use this polygon in order to control my spline. I will also use handles like these. I will pull the control points on my control polygon, and you can see here this is how my spline is being. Okay, this control, you don't have to move this control polygon over here. I wanted to move the control points on the control polygon. You can see it is not very easy in order to arrange these splines as there are not much control points. But we discussed before that we need to create a minimum number of control points so that defining the curve is easy, and by minimum number of points we can get a smooth curvature. Also, handling large number of points is always difficult. So if you keep the number of points minimum, you can handle this spline curve quite well. As you can see here, it took me some time in order to get this spline right, but now you can see that this spline has taken the shape of my curvature that I wanted. Again, in a similar way, I will insert another spline over here. I will again go to splines, select it, and then start my curve from here. Again, I will create 3 points in order to define this spline. I will move this slightly over here in order to capture the end point properly, and then use my control points to define it again. You have to always fine tune in order to reach your final shape. Here I will right click on it and again say display control polygon. You can see here I will first move these points in order to get the shape. This was a fairly easy shape, so you can see that it has been generated easily. Now I will fine tweak with the help of our control points and get to the final curve, something like this. We can also use this final point over here and then finally tweak this a bit over here, pull the control point on our control polygon, and you can see that we have successfully aligned our spline with this curved spline or curved sketch entity. Again, I will select a new spline and draw this spline over here. Like this, I will again specify 3 points, press escape, and then right click on the spline and say display control polygon. This should again be an easy task, as this curve is not as difficult as the ones we've created before. You can see how easily this curve was created now. Once you get a hang of it and you practice a lot, you can create complex curves with ease. Again, I will select a spline from over here and create a spline for this part of our sketch. I will right click on this line over here or spline over here and say display control polygon. Now I will use these handles you can zoom in as much as you want so that you get a good hold of this curve. I will move the control point over here to get it at the center, and you can fine tweak some more so that you get to the final point. Now you can see that we have created another part of the sketch. Again, I will take this spline, select it from here. Again, I will create a 3-point spline like this, press escape, and then you can again right click on this spline and say display control polygon. Once you have done this, you can again use the similar way in order to align this spline over here. I am using handles now. The only part of this sketch that is remaining is this last curve over here. I will zoom in and again select spline and start the spline from this end point over here. In this case, let's say we are selecting only 2 control points. For this, I will right click and say display control polygon. For this, you can see that it was fairly easy for us to create a spline. So here I showed you by only creating 2 points, you had to only manipulate these 2 points in order to get to your final curvature. Now here what we will do is that we will create a center line from this end point, and this center line should be horizontal. I will press escape and then select this line, press Ctrl and then select our horizontal line, and from the option shown over here I will say make tangent. Once you have done this, you can see that now we have successfully created one half of this shape that we wanted to create. Now here what I will do, I will go to convert entities and then select this midpoint or this center line that we had created before. I will press OK and then convert this over here. Again, I will click on this line over here, and from the options I will select construction geometry. Again, I will turn this line into a construction geometry. Now the only thing that is left over here is to mirror these splines that we have created. We will simply go to mirror entities, and with the help of the box selection, I will select all these entities over here. Now that all the entities have been selected, I will not move my mouse and press the right mouse button. You can see that the selection has changed. Here I will specify this line as the line about which my mirror is supposed to be created. You can see the preview is being shown in yellow over here. I will click OK and then generate my spline. You can see this is how we created complex curves using spline and a reference picture at the background. I hope with this exercise it was very clear how do we control splines and what are the terminologies behind it. Also, I hope you will practice on your own and then get better at it. I will see you in the next video. Thank you.